Warm welcome to everybody for this morning session. And we have today a very interesting panel of speakers, starting from our own friends from across the globe in Cornell University to our own team in UNIMAS, and together with a team from UCTS. So the three universities together is going to present a beautiful mix of experiences cutting across place and time. And it is something that moves from service learning into e-service learning and to something beyond. So without further ado, I will pass the floor to Amy Somchanawong, who has been a wonderful partner in the UNIMAS Cornell Global Service Learning Initiative. Thank you very much, Emmy, for joining us today. Over to you.
Great. Well, thank you, Dr. Nara, and great introduction to the session. So it allows me not to have to do it anymore, except to just welcome everyone and thank you for joining us for the session today. So in this session, you will hear from some of the amazing faculty and dedicated committed staff to community-based learning and community-based service learning. You will first hear from Dr. Shona Allred, who is who have been so privileged and honored to be working with her in developing the global citizenship and sustainability at Cornell University. And through that, she's going to share with you about our journey in how we come about with working with UNIMAS and then later on with UCTS together, and also just providing insights from the community members and also students through their participation of global citizenship and sustainability. And afterwards, we will hear from Dr. Tariq and Zaman, Dr. Tariq Zaman, who is an associate professor at UCTS. And he will be sharing with us using the what, so what, now what framework to sort of help us how he thinks about co-design or co-create a dialogical space on transcultural and transdisciplinary practice using community-based learning as a framework. And so you will be hearing from him. And after that, we will hear from Dr. Kartina, who is the associate professor and the dean of the Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology at UNIMAS. She formed the very first service learning team at UNIMAS for the Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology. And she will be sharing the experience of having to create a service learning program, but not just that, but for 350 plus students in that lecture and working with a very large team of faculty and community partners. And so we'll be hearing from her. And then afterwards, we will hear from Dr. Tang, who is also a faculty member at the UNIMAS, and we'll be talking about the community service, the building process of Play Hub, which is a bus that UNIMAS had created, and how it brought together various disciplines and together, and also students in creating this innovation lab by using a bus. And so without further ado, actually before that, I should introduce myself a little bit. So myself, my name is Amy Somchanawong. I serve as the Associate Director of Community-Based Learning and Partnership at Cornell University in the new office, a newly merged office called David M. Einhorn Center for Community Engagement, and where we actually focus on supporting and developing community engaged learning for our faculty, staff, and also our students at Cornell University. So with that introduction, I'm going to pass to Dr. Shona Allred to kick us off with a panel conversation. Ooh, Shona? Oh, just bear with us. She's coming back. Just a slight technical difficulty. Yes. So we're going to have Dr. Shona Allred to get started. And so believe that she will have slides that she'll be sharing during her panel conversation. And after all the panelists, we will take we will then do question and answer. So Shona. Shona, you're muted.
Okay, can everyone hear me now and see the slides?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great.
Right.
Technology works. Thank you, Amy, for that wonderful introduction. I am so happy to be with all of you here today. I thoroughly wish that that we could all be together in Borneo sharing these important moments, but I really appreciate the opportunity to join virtually, because this is a really important conference that convenes people once a year to really come together and learn and grow together. So I'm really grateful to be a part of it. And today I'll be talking about community-led research as service learning, the Global Citizenship and Sustainability Program, which is Cornell with Borneo, that we have been in partnership with Malaysian Borneo communities, as well as UNIMAS and UCTS over the past 6 years, and co-founded at Cornell University in partnership with UNIMAS and then UCTS. So we're really excited to share this with all of you today. So the Global Citizenship and Sustainability Program, we founded this program with a mission to strengthen cross-cultural learning through community-based research. We really wanted to apply research for mutual benefit, reciprocal benefits with communities. So how could applied social science and environmental research really benefit the communities while also driving knowledge forward? So we really wanted to focus on Southeast Asia for this program because of the critical global importance of Borneo and Southeast Asia more broadly as a biodiversity hotspot, as one of the mega diverse regions of the country. A big part of our humanity's future is really the conservation of biological diversity. And Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines contain 4 of the 25 global hotspots are in Southeast Asia. So this region is critically important. And of course, we know that, that this region is also home to many indigenous groups and indigenous territories where this biodiversity is stewarded and has been for hundreds of years. Of course, there's also those vulnerabilities and threats to biodiversity from climate change, habitat loss, population growth, as well as others. As I mentioned, this biological diversity is really tied to the people that inhabit Borneo and the communities, the traditional indigenous territories that make up 22% of the Earth's land surface and coincide with 80% of the world's biodiversity. So biodiversity such as the orangutan or the beautiful Rafflesia flower or the blue-eared kingfisher. And we know that Southeast Asia is on the front lines of climate change, things like rainforest loss. 80% of the rainforests in Malaysian Borneo have been impacted by logging. We know that global palm oil production is on the rise. 50% of packaged products in grocery stores contain palm oil. So there's this global demand for a resource that really puts pressure on the forests of Southeast Asia, turning them into monocultures. And so with all of these threats and the importance of the region, we also know that the heart of Borneo and the interior rainforests are a critical component of our globe, the future of our planet. And in many ways, people are one of the most important resources for resilience. When we think about climate mitigation and climate adaptation, it really comes down to people and really understanding the role and important histories and trajectories of communities in protecting and stewarding and conserving and having self-determination over their own resources. So we undertook a partnership with communities in Sarawak to really explore this idea of cultural resilience and what is the role of culture in helping a community to absorb disturbance, but really retaining key elements of its structure and identity to preserve its distinctness. And so we developed a partnership for global service learning that really combined classroom experience with real world experience, where the community and university become a collective. We have mutual learning with communities so that everyone is teaching, everyone is learning. And we really wanted to have cross-cultural learning, both between our students from Cornell and also from UCTS and UNIMAS, but also between those students from all three universities and the communities in which they were working. And Amy and I founded the program in 2013, initially in Thailand, working with farming communities on post-flood resilience, and began the partnership with UNIMAS and Long Lamai in 2016, and then UCTS and Iban communities 3 years later. So the Global Citizenship and Sustainability Program, we really think it's important to have a pre-departure course, a course that really prepares students before they go to other countries and really working on field work to make sure that they're really prepared. So we have a course that we teach before students go to Borneo. It includes a language course, Bahasa what's called a Jumpstart language course, to really help them learn the basics of culture and language. And then to really learn about the communities that they will be working with, to get to know our university partners, to really learn and read about Malaysian political and indigenous histories. And then in January is when we all travel to Sarawak and work with Iban and Penang communities. And then students spend time afterwards really writing up the results of the research, communicating back. And at one point we did have a summer exchange program where we were able to host students from our partner university here at Cornell in the summer. And UNIMAS has also hosted a Cornell student before as well, which is great. And so we signed a MOA with UNIMAS. That was a really proud moment back in 2016, really kicking off the partnership and having that commitment at the university level for service learning and the importance of this. And then in January 2019, we were able to sign an MOA with UCTS to really expand the partnership to Iban communities. And so working in Long Lamai with Penang communities and working in Cebu with Iban communities, and really having student teams with UNIMAS, UCTS, and Cornell students working together alongside community. And so I wanted to start to share a little bit about what we've learned in Long Lamai, and to have Karen Jengen begin by sharing a little bit about the community of Long Lamai.
This place is called Long Lamai. Long Lamai is a Penang community. We have a few facilities that we have inside Long Lamai. We have schools, we have access to this place by air and by boat ride for an hour. We don't have roads. So now we are thinking of how to bring this place into progress, because this place, we are the descendant of the nomadic. We have been abandoned our nomadic lives since 50 years back. So now we are trying to catch up with other ethnic local ethnic around us. Since we are very late to come out from the jungle, as our other ethnic counterpart, people around us, they have been originally people who do planting and farming. So since we are late to come out, so we have less knowledge about this thing. So because of that, we are trying to find a way to help ourselves before we seek help from others. So the thing we have in mind is we just.
So that's a little bit about Long Lamai from one of the elders in the community, Garen Jengen, who's also the research coordinator and really works closely with us on the projects. The Panan often describe the forest as life. And so the idea of resilience and adaptation really all comes back to the forest. And we've been able to speak with the Panan about the nomadic life, everything from hunting traditions that involve blowpipe, hunting with blowpipes and harvesting sago, to oro, the forest sign language that they utilize during nomadic times to communicate with neighboring bands that were also traveling throughout the forest. And we really wanted to focus on things like storytelling and remembering and celebrating survival, not just on the demise of culture, but really about how they've actually retained cultural values in the face of modernity and so many changes. And also the idea of cultural artifacts and the historical photographs that you see here on the screen are actually part of a rare manuscript collection at Cornell University called the Panans of Sarawak, and we really wanted to bring these photographs back to the community. So, so we really use indigenous community-based research principles and decolonizing methodologies, and also self-determination, really making sure the community is deciding how they want to be involved, and that we're utilizing cultural protocols for ethical engagement taught by the community. We utilize participatory research methods such as visual charting, such as the one you see here that really focuses on drawing as a way of communicating and through sketches, using community meetings and interviews and analyzing them for dimensions of resilience. And again, also utilizing photographs and other visual elements from archival photographs here at Cornell University that we were able to bring back to the Panan. And through in-depth interviews, really recognizing in the Panan how their cultural knowledge is remembered and represented from their perspective, so that those interviews are in their voices and translated from Panan into English. And these were conducted from 2017 to 2020. We wanted to find out, how did the Panan define resilience? How has the community responded to rapid transition, and what is the relationship between culture and resilience? And this idea of reclaiming, recognizing, and returning the incredible knowledge that the Panan have about their natural environment and how culture is intertwined. And so we were able to, find out about one of the first Panan to attend school, also Linying Lete Tapuk, who was featured in the Cornell archival photographs, who still lives in the village. So just really wonderful opportunities to talk about the past, but also, and remember important historical figures in the community, but also think about the future as well, that resilient is, that the Panan identity is such a big part of resilience, the knowledge, the customs, the handicrafts, the language, that's all part of resilience. And Mr. Garen Jengen talks about how unity and cohesion and collective decision-making and benefits to everyone are an important aspect of resilience. And so those kind of self-determination and self-governance kinds of characteristics are really critical for survival of the community, both during nomadic life, but also in modern times today. And so this
place is called Long Lamai. got tired.
So I wanted
So
to
the thing we have in mind is
mention a metaphor of resilience that that the Panan talk about in relationship to a vehicle, and how the vehicle really represents the different aspects of what the community values.
Before we seek help from others. So the thing we have in mind is we just keep on the motto of resilience. Resilience in concept that we use here. I take an example like a vehicle or a car that have a driver, passengers in the vehicle itself. Got tires, 4 tires, got spotlight and other accessories. But the most important is the light. The light that we use in the car, in front of the car, is very important for the driver to see when they travel on the road, even at night. This light can give you a very clear sight. That means it can save you from accident because of the light. And this is the example. The headlight of this car is education. For us, we send our children to school so that they can be the light for our community, to see all things outside our community, whatever they can learn in school, in other places. From this knowledge, we want them to bring it back, to play it in the community, to do the practical. And also, now we are glad that we have other people from outside there, for example, university students from other universities, for example, in Long Lamai, we have UNIMAS. They send their students as researchers and help our community as well. And now, like Cornell University, they also contributed a lot here, and then we are hoping that they are.
So that was just a little clip of the metaphors of resilience as Wilson, Beyond Bellary, the village headman, and Garanjangan have expressed, that the car is like the family, and there's a leader, and the wheels of the car really represent knowledge, and the lights of the car, education, and cars return to their destination. So the idea of bringing education back to the community. And these were the types of metaphors of resilience that the community described, and also about really planning for tomorrow, that today you may have something, but tomorrow you don't know. And so you have to really be prepared, and also think about how you can help others to prepare for the unknown as well. And this important idea of bridging, bonding, and spreading, that was also discussed, that it's not just about binding in the community, but bridging, which is spreading and that knowledge to another place, and really creating this larger network of knowledge. Also the idea of Malong, and which is a complex system of stewardship and communication, ownership, and sustainability of resources during the nomadic life, and also life in the village today. And just visual charts that really represented the different elements of Panan culture that were important, whether it was the Ipet or the Lakau Bate, the nomadic life, the Oro forest sign language, medicinal plants, Tuan Tuantana, etc. These were all visual representations of the cultural aspects of resilience. These are some of the students that have participated in the program, along with community members and Long Lamai, the village headman, and others really wonderful partners in the research. And these are just a few of the draft kind of community products that are coming out of the partnership, whether it's really thinking about how to create a book around Panan musical instruments and the history of that versus the bioacoustics of birdsong and what that means, how that represents the biological diversity in terms of listening to Long Lamai, and with Franklin George and one of our former students that was in the program. And we're also working on a digital museum of Panan culture that would really highlight the photographs from the archival photographs and the stories that the Panan really used to illustrate what those photos represent to them, both in the past and now. So I would say, what did we learn? We learned that community voice is important, that it's important to have clear expectations of institutional and community partnerships, a participatory strategy of agreeing on shared outcomes. Also, the cross-cultural learning experiences were very significant for students at UCTS-UNIMAS and Cornell. And also that assessment, it was important to assess from both community partner and student perspectives. And so with that, I will wrap it up and say Jian Kanin, Terima Kaseh, and I look forward to the rest of this, sharing the rest of this hour with all of you.
Great, thank you, Dr. Shwana. And I think we're going to hold the questions until all the panelists get a chance to present. So next we have Professor Dr. Tariq.
Hi, good morning to everybody. Thank you for having me here. So I think Shorna's presentation was really a good start for today. And I was just, let me share my screen first. So maybe, yeah. And yes, I purposely requested that Shorna presentation should be before me, so that can somehow feed my work, because I think it is quite difficult to cover whatever we did in the last 5 years. And I still remember our first meeting with Cornell when Amy and Shorna wanted to initiate partnership with Long Lamai community. And we discussed that actually we should meet in eBKF in 2015 in Baklalan. So to initiate our partnership for service learning, we had a very interesting meeting after the session, me, Shorna, Amy, and Garen sitting together, and Franklin, to discuss that, okay, what will be the structure for service learning program if we want to do it in a partnership with Long Lamai. And like that was really a good kickstart for us. What I remember that means we started our discussion in 2015, early 2015, end of 2014, but then the service learning term first time actually came to our knowledge in Malaysia, in Malaysian context, in education context, under the Malaysian Education Blueprint for 2015 and 2025. So we were thinking, oh, okay, we are actually at a good time to think about it. And thanks to Dr. Johari for that actually the moment he listened the word, he said, oh yes, let's go for it. I still remember my first interview for my job in ISITI-UNIMAS. He asked me that, okay, what's the thing that we need to do? And why that is, actually, I will also talk about it. And he said that, okay, can you help to establish the program with and it was quite nice to have Dr. Katrina and the team actually who really led the whole process. They will talk on their part, but then Amy and Shona and Cornell practices and program was really an interesting turn actually for me specifically as an individual researcher, but even to inform the ECT directions also towards towards service learning. And one of the components, I will just highlight, there are two components that I really learned from that actually, and that is somehow has set for the next like you can say that a long-term partnership direction for us. So one of the components which was very interesting was the critical reflection part. With Dr. Alvin and his participatory action research in service in software development exercises, so the PR part was there, and we were so much in action, but we were really looking for that where the reflection happens and how the reflection happens, and then Amy and Shornal and Cornell practices of introducing critical reflection exercises in academic learning, and not only in research but also in classroom setting, was really an interesting part for us, which was really amazed and an interesting experience. So that critical reflection was one component, and the second component was about networking and partnership. The second part I really learned is that what we really mean by community, actually, who is community? Tapping on Tim yesterday's presentation about moving from individual to collective or to community based is an important. So who is the community? So for us, this institutional capacity building or organizational capacity building in community, also to work with an organized body. That is another part for us, which is informing our current practices in UCTS. And the second one is to have a partnership with the COE, Center of Excellence. So Cornell was really a center of excellence for us to impart their knowledge, their skills, and to inform our research and development agenda for their practices. So I will talk here about very quick three of our initiative that based on these experiences actually we start. So the first one is our distributed co-design with children from Namibia, Malaysia, and Finland. After the pandemic happened, for our service learning community, it was really a difficult phase, especially for the people who are fond of research in the field, who are the field bees actually. For them, it was a difficult time to confine in a room or at your own home, not even in your office. So we found this, and we look at it, the e-service learning program, and this is one of our projects that we started in 2020, which is distributed co-designing with children. So children are facing a lot of challenges nowadays to find technologies for interaction. So we try to design technologies, co-design technology with children from 3 countries, Namibia, Malaysia, and Finland. And we also engaged along the way our undergrad student actually to observe and to be trained as a designer, to really do the critical reflection exercises and to be part of the program. And the third level was other than the undergrad student, the third level was about the postgraduate student. So each country has a postgraduate student to be engaged in this process, and the last one, of course, the professors. But the most important component for this practice was the critical reflection exercise, online critical reflection exercises every week based on each practice, and then a critical reflection exercise in a very structured way for 2 hours online program. And we recently published, or we are going to publish, it will be out soon, our paper on this program, the first paper. So the second power component was again for the e-service learning, is the distant identity and the design possibility for the World Fuchao Heritage Gallery. For Fuchao community in Cebu is one of the you can say a face to the world somehow, that wherever the Cebu name comes of the Fuchao community, and we have the largest Fuchao collection in the world in Cebu, a gallery. Migrated from China and settled in Malaysia. So the whole history has been documented in a museum. And one of the interesting part for us was that we have a great collaboration with Malmo University with Lizette, who also worked with Long Lamai. And there were 6 of her master students from interaction design and user experience design, and 4 of our students from UCTS, the computer scientists. They worked together on designing a prototype for World Heritage Gallery, for Chow World Heritage Gallery. And now we are in the third stage of actually where we are coming up with an actual system, a digital museum system. And this is one of our projects which also won the UNESCO Tech Hall Award. And then the last one is, when we were working on this thing, yes, the connectivity in Sarawak is one of the big issue. It's not we are saying, actually, that means the government is saying, Chief Minister is saying, and the Prime Minister of Malaysia is talking about connectivity. What we really mean from connectivity. So our whole experience, and especially for Gary, who is also here, my PhD student, my colleague, who is also here, his 15, 20 years of experience working with Barrio, with DEX replication site, then Orang Asli, and now with the UCTS. What actually is the issue with this connectivity, that with all these different initiatives, we are not gonna, we are not yet able to address it. But yes, looking at the need-based, asset-based, but in this program which we initiated, and we have a great partnership from APNIC, MCMC is funding it, APC is funding it, Datasonic is one partner, and University of Alberta is also there. And this idea also started from eBKF, the last eBKF, where we met with Rob and the team, and we talked about it, that actually what is their practices with the Canadian First Nation communities. So in this program, we are looking at the digital connectivity policies, but then we are also looking at the access, and the third component is about the content, and the fourth component, the technology and tools. And in a nutshell, in a single word, if I say, we are using the right best approach, not the need based approach or asset based approach, but the right best approach. And it's also informed by the recent ministry initiative where they are talking about the internet as a utility or internet as a human right. So we are thinking maybe that's one and another way to look at this connectivity issue in Sarawak. Yeah, so we are doing this impact study on that with MCMC help and with the others help. Okay, so what are the three? So what now? Actually, where are we now? So for us, actually, that this inside the institution for UCTS, what we looked at it that want to go for service learning program, and looking at our previous practices and experiences, we really are thinking that the capacity building of the staff is one of the important aspects. Clarity in the terms, clarity in terms. For example, what community-based means, what engagement with, what participation means. Actually, from different perspective, when you come to the table, you bring your different aspect to that, actually, and different definition of these terms. So the epistemic capacity, developing the epistemic capacity of the staff, and then when you have some sort of the discussion and understanding, then you can co-create, means we are thinking that then we can co-create somehow a direction for us for the service learning. But this is one of the important aspects of us. If we don't create the capacity and we straight go for the service learning program, we are worried that actually the impact will be not that much. So our major, for the next 1 to 2 years, our major focus is going towards the capacity building of the staff. We are engaged with Cornell. Amy is helping us to have the session. UNIMAS is helping us, Sohaila and the team, to have the session with our team members. So we are doing those sessions together, and our young team members are engaged in that. The second component is actually towards universality beyond the decolonization, actually, but creating a space where the knowledge system can interact and opening the doors of the university and classroom for community members to come in. It is nice to acknowledge the community member, that is nice, but what actually acknowledgement means for them? For us, we are still struggling with that okay, we are going to their space. Can we also open our classroom space for them to come in as a visiting professors? And what I mean from the visiting professor, it is not like a visiting professor just like as a name, but how we consider our visiting professor from academia. Can we still give the space to our community members, and that pluralistic space where the different knowledge system can interact, that will be another ideal part for us. And the last one, extended the boundaries. I found it that in Malaysian structure, we are struggling a lot with this space that, okay, we want community as part of us, but our institutional setup doesn't allow that. We still need insurance to bring my computer out from my university to the community. We still don't have systems to acknowledge that the SOPs, the structures that actually which acknowledge that if my community, if my researcher is spending some time in the village, is it considered his learning hours? Is it considered his contributing hours or not? We are still in the 3 credit hours type of the process. So we are thinking that can we inform our own institutional setup? Actually, I still remember Roger's first question that actually whatever we are learning from this is our own institution is adopting those learnings. So if we don't go for institutional setup to inform our structures, the problem is that I still remember that I had this presentation on service learning to Malmo University, and at the last of the time, they asked me this question at the end, so what? Means you are doing the individual, so what, where you are leading. So if our institutional setup is not extending their boundaries and giving the space for our researchers, their time which they are spending in community as their official timing, and then all the other parts are there as a component of that. So thank you very much. The last slide, yes, Emmy and Shona and Rachel and myself have this toolkit for service learning, which will be out soon under the UNIMAS publisher. So we will have something. The other thing I want to inform that this year in April, we also had this knowledge fair in Namibia. Heike, who participated in 2 knowledge fair in Sarawak, she also brought this knowledge fair to Namibia, and this is one of the pictures. And the last one is the Malaysia PDC places. We are bringing the participatory design conference to Malaysia, and you can join us. Thank you very much.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, your reflections, and then next we will like to share with you the from Dr. Kartina. So Tim, if you can play the video.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and very good morning to everyone. My name is Kartina Zain, Dean of the Faculty of Computer Science in ISITI-UNIMAS. Today, I would like to share with all of you how we start our service learning in the faculty. So our service learning starts with the encouragement from the Minister of Higher Education, where it encourages all universities to take part in service learning to produce holistic, entrepreneurial, and balanced students. So how to do that? One of the ways is to involve our students in service learning. So our service learning started in April 2016, where first we formed a service learning committee, and we had a few meetings to identify what kind of project we want to involve our students. So we have 380 students to be brought and involved during that time. So we decided to divided them into 2 groups, where half of them will engage with the villagers, and half of them will involve in schools. So for like 2 months or 3 months, we contacted all the related villages and schools. So altogether, we have 41 projects as a start to involve the 380 students. So these are the list of 20 schools and 20 villages. These schools are in the area of Kuching and Samarahan, where there are SMK Kota Samarahan, Wira Penrisen, Jalan Arang, Sri Setia, Demak Baru, Muara Tuang, College Abdillah, Wira Jaya, Datuk Trao, Kampung Rembus, SK Kampung Baru. So SK means primary schools. Okay, SMK are the secondary schools, SK Kampung Baru, SK Endap, SK Merane, SK Niup Samarahan, SK Datuk Muhammad Musa, SK Tabuan Ulu, SK Tabuan Hile, SK Pinang, SKA Ibnu Khaldun, SK Major General Datuk Ibrahim. And the villages are Kampung number 3, Kampung Sungai Maung, Kampung Telaga Air, Kampung Santubong, Kampung Buntal, Kampung Rantau Panjang, Kampung Landeh, Kampung Pinggan Jaya, nearby Unimas, Kampung Gobilch, Kampung Sungai Bedar Besar, Kampung Rampangi, Kampung Samariang Baru Fasa 3, Kampung Muara Tuang, Kampung Tanjung Bundung Tradisi, Kampung Tanjung Bundung, Kampung Sindang, Kampung Pinang, Kampung Pangkalan Puap, Kampung Sungai Matak, and Kampung Tanjung Parang. So these are among the projects where our student did voters tracking system, interactive map database system, mark entry system for school, database profile for village, web portal, which these are the websites for the club and villages. The students also did promotion video, schools and for villages, and also activities videos, and some IT trainings. It depends on what village and schools requested. So one project for one location. So these are among our 10 lecturers who helped and involved in the service learning committee. Mr. Abdul Rahman Mat, Mr. Muhammad Johan, Dr. Suhaila, Dr. Dayang Hanani, Dr. Nadia Natra, Madam Selebiawati, me, Dr. Fatihah, Dr. Sarah, and Dr. Tariq. Now we have another additional 7 lecturers who are Dr. Iwandi, the Deputy Dean of Academic now, Madam Rosita, Dr. Chia, Madam Ikazila, Associate Professor Dr. Halikul, Miss Jennifer, and Miss Ling. So where are we now? We already up to 2021, we successfully completed 195 projects with all still villages and schools, and the total students involved are 1,800 plus students. So if you can look at this timeline, each year we managed to do quite a number of big projects each year because we need to cater for one batch of students in the faculty. So I would like to share some of the impact of our service learning project under the team village. So normally for the villages, they requested to us to help them to build websites. So 13 villages under Dun 89 Satok, N8 Satok. Okay. So these websites help the communities to improve or increase their visibility to outsiders, and also they can promote their services and local product through these websites. So this is the interface of the website and also the newspaper cutting. And another project is water tracking system in 2017 for Kampung Sungai Bedar Besar. So this VTS system is to monitor the voters' attendance, and it can save a lot of time to see what is the percentage of voters' attendance, which this data can be automatically generated from the system. So these are the interface and the newspaper cutting related to the project. Under the team entrepreneur, we are involved with Kampung Pop Batu 10, okay, where this is the training on product labeling, where we train the women to do their own proper logo and label to design for their own local products. So they had improved the logo and label so that they can promote better. So these are the photos to show that our service learning team, the students, brief the community and give them training. Under the team women, we involve our student involved in Women of Sarakuk Indu Dayak Sarawak, IDS. So they give a training to the community to develop their own websites, and also our students develop for them and teach them how to use WordPress and teach them how to manage the developed websites. So these are the photos, related photos. Under the team youth, one of the example the involvement in the schools, there are 92 secondary students of Form 1 and Form 2 from SMK Muara-Tuang, where we conduct a program called Innovative Computer Science Workshop by our service learning students, where they teach the school secondary students regarding Scratch programming and give them a quiz, and also involve them, engage with the activities on how to use their creativity and innovation skills to have IT products. So these are the related photos. Group photo was service learning team with Cikgu Chia from SMK Muara-Tuang and also the students. These are the activities. Under the team children, our service learning team involved with children and teenagers of Kampung Gitak Baru in the project of teaching them to use hands-on for drones, printing and laminating pictures. So these are the related photos, and these are the activities where we can see the students are very excited with the drones. And we also involved in children from Kampung Sungai Mata, where our service learning team teach them how to use Microsoft PowerPoint and how to do the presentation using PowerPoint. Okay, these are the related photos. And under disabilities team, our students also involved in special needs students of SK Pendidikan Khas. They teach how to use basic computer and introduce them to the VR box. So these are the related photos of our service learning team with the disabilities students, and this introduce them to the VR box. So really enjoy the activities, and also our student involved in learning this as disability students of SK Tabuan Hile. This they help them on how to utilize IT within the scope of learning. So these are the related photos of the activities. They give training for the disability students. And our students also involved in double blazing OKU coaching, where they teach the students on how to use Canva. Okay, so to build their self-confidence and become part of the technology. So these are the photos our students with the disabilities participants. So I would like to thank everyone who support us, Sarawak State Government, SMA, YB Rupiah Wang, YB Aidil Lariwo, who support in terms of sponsorship. Puan Hajah Shirini, who contact us who help to contact all the principals and schools. Associate Professor Dr. Johari, our former dean, Professor Nara, Prof. Elvin, Prof. Roger, Amy, Shonia, who gives us guidance in the first, at the beginning, where we want to start our service learning. And Jabatan Pendidikan Negeri Sarawak, all district officers, Ketua Kaum, head of village, all the principals and teachers who involved, and everyone who involved. Okay, so these are all the photos of our involvement to the schools and also to the village. Okay, we also did e-service learning during the pandemic, where all students could not come to the campus. So we continue our service learning using e-service learning. Besides our own internal service learning, we also collaborate of our service learning through ICT-40 program with VU Amsterdam. So lead by Dr. Chia Wai Xiang from UNIMAS, and from VU Amsterdam are Dr. Anna Bond, Mr. Francis, and Professor Hans Eckermann. So this program started in 2018, where these are the combination of our master students and VU master students. They go to the local kampung community in Sarawak. And in 2021, this ICT-40 program continue with the online conference, where this conference is part of the Aurora European Universities Alliance program. So it was done last 28 June. So this is also part of a service learning program where all the master students from three countries, Malaysia, from UNIMAS, the students from UNIMAS, from Ghana, and from European. So they are working together to solve the problems in the local communities in Sarawak and also in Ghana. Okay, that's all from me about related to our service learning in faculty. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Dr. Cartina. We're running out of time for Q&A. We just have one more speaker, Dr. Tan. We will be playing his video to share with you about the play at the bus. And so I just want to ask, since we won't have time to take Q&A on via Zoom live, so please put your question on the Q&A sections or on the chat, and then we will respond accordingly. And so now we're going to hear from Dr. Tan.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Tan, and I would like to talk about one of our recent projects that has the elements of community service learning. Yes, you are right. It is the Play Lab that I will be talking about. And for some of you who are always in the campus, you will see we have a bus parked right at the car park of the faculty. Yes, that is the bus we received from the university through our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Muhammad Kadim bin Suwaidi. We are honored to have the bus to be built into a Play Lab, which is actually part of the SES project funded by UK Research and Innovation. By the way, SES stands for a community-centered educational model for developing social resilience, which come with a themes, playfulness towards an inclusive, safe, and resilient society. Play Lab is actually a pop-up lab innovation, which has become trendy among the creative and innovation community. The main objective of the building of Play Labs are to provide a platform to demonstrate new ideas and concepts, partly inspired by makerspace, co-working space, and tiny homes. But we wanted more. We wanted it to be much more playful, which we believe it will spark more innovation in STEM and research. Sustainability and resilience are the main theme for Play Lab, where innovation through the applied of frugal concept, which leads to greater sustainability, which in line with university initiative towards integrating the elements of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, in every stage of operations and activities. Community resilience to be developed through the team, through teamwork contributed by a diverse of expertise among the university community. Team members coming from different faculties contributing their knowledge and problem-solving skill to achieve the ultimate aim of Play Labs. We have members coming from the engineering, the computer science and IT, resource science, creative arts, education, and architecture. The Play Lab project started when UNIMAS Development Office delivered the bus to the faculty car park on the 18th January this year. And we were all so excited because we have never walked on a bus before. Sketches and ideas were brainstormed, throwing all ideas around about what could be done to the bus in order to build the Play Lab. Our friends from the environmental and architectural faculties helped to come up with the 3D models of the bus from various sketches and ideas. And our very first task was to remove all the seats of the bus in order to create an empty space. This is actually a totally brand new experience where we have to study the structure of the bus and figure out which are the best way to remove the seat with minimal effort. With the help from the contractors, the overhead storage compartments were removed by cutting off some metal structure. And now we were keeping some of the seat of the bus for future innovations at a later stage. Since the bus will be stationary for some time, additional support is needed to reduce putting all the weight of the bus on its wheels that could damage them in long run. So jet stand has been designed and installed under the bus. Those jet stands were fabricated using recycled metals such as all metals rim to reduce its cost. The installation was quite tedious as the bus weighted more than 10 tons and a powerful jack is required for the job. After some of the hard metal works, and it is time for us to move on to work on the appearance of the bus. The team from Creative Arts faculty started off by clearing and scraping off the old paints. But we were sending invitation to all members of the university to come to experience scrapping a vehicle legally. We were trying a few of the methods, and after all, it wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy task, but everyone's learned a new experience. And along the way, there were hiccups such as additional accidental damage. We never expected the luggage compartment door fell off the bus. And while we're clearing the pens, we was wear a mechanic hat trying to put together all our knowledge and tools to get it fixed. So can we fix it? Of course, we can. And this is community resilience, I suppose. Right, this is the creative artists of UNIMAS in action, putting the undercoat paints for the bus. In fact, this is also their first time working on a bus. The tracing of the mural design can only be done after dusk because it is outdoor and a projector is used to project the mural sketch. The car park at night were relatively dark and additional lightings and power source were needed. Hence, entire team working together to improvise all that were needed. On the other hand, the coloring was done under the hot sun because we need more lights to look at the color better. And throughout the process, everyone's learned from each others to acquire new skill and knowledge that we never come across before this. And our members also gets to practice some of the time-lapse night photography skill while recording the work in progress. And it took a total of 10 weeks to complete the mural for PlayLab. And in fact, it was just completed last Friday. A big clap for our team from the Creative Arts consists of lecturers and 7 students. The journey has been tough for them due to all the additional hassle that they have to deal with during the pandemic, lockdown, quarantine, etc. And this is not about it yet. Next, we will have the environmental and architectural team to come in to work on the interior structure of the bus, followed by renewable energy solar power system for ICT appliances, and then the rainwater harvesting system designed by the engineering. I would say this is probably one of the best service learning experience for the community of UNIMAS, where knowledge and skill from all over the campus were called into service to make PlayLab a reality. That's all for now. Thank you.
Great, thank you everyone. And thank you, Dr. Shona, Dr. Tariq, and Dr. Kartina, and Dr. Tan for sharing your experience with service learning, with community-based service learning, and the research that you have done with community and students. And now we're just wrapping up. I apologize that we won't be able to take questions, but if you do, please feel free to put it on the Q&A or send us a message. I think the contact information can be made available to you later. But now I'm going to pass to Dr. Jane for the next session in the knowledge fair.